Welcome back, everybody. It's Big Poppa T-Mo. We're playing a little No Man's Sky. This is episode 3 of my new player's guide. We left off at the finding of the base computer and terrain manipulator plans. We're going to go ahead and continue on with that. With any luck, the base computer will hold more information about whether whoever is leaving these messages. Let's download those plans. New technology discovered: terrain manipulator. Requires 2 carbon nanotubes and a dihydrogen jelly. Told you we'd need that jelly. Do a little jetpack jump there. I'm going to go on here and make a carbon nanotube and make another one. And go back into our inventory, switch over to the multi-tool, and we're going to go over here and hit the square, highlight the terrain manipulator, and start that. Now this is another version of the mining laser, but unlike our first mining laser, which you switch by toggling the triangle, let's go ahead and scan this mineral real quick, and then we'll check these plants. 200 units. Scanning this big plant. Ooh, there's a critter up there too. 500. Buried technology module. Can zoom in by double downing on the right 3, but since he's behind something, we're not going to get a good scan on him. Let's go ahead and back out of that, scan this plant real quick, and I'll show you what I wanted to show you. Okay, so when you hit something normally with the mining laser, it fires it just like that, and it returns all of your goods. Salt and ferrite dust. Do not have a use for the salt anytime soon, but we will later. Carbon and radon. Also, radon is not going to be very helpful to us. Let's go ahead and recharge our suit and our mining laser real quick. Ooh, we're going to have to find some sodium. Do a little scan real quick. There's some sodium right over here. Don't forget to pick up your sodium. Ooh, it's on the other side of the hill. Also, try not to fall down to your death. Carbon crystals, condensed carbon, that's excellent fuel. We want that. I'm going to show you a little trick on the wall over here too. Let's grab this sodium, charge up our suit a little bit more. If you ever fall down a hole, which conveniently we have a hole here. You don't want to die though. Okay, now that is, scan this real quick. That's a pretty deep hole. And as you're running around, sometimes you're not paying attention. Our jetpack is not going to be enough to get us up there just jetpacking, but the game has a built-in failsafe so that we don't get trapped. If you basically walk up to a wall and you can't go up anymore, just face the wall like I am, keep pushing forward and jetpack, and as long as you're pushed up against that wall, your jetpack won't run out of fuel until you get to the top. So you can't get stuck in the bottom of a hole. Very, very convenient, but be careful not to get too high and turn around and start going back towards the center, because if you're not pushed up against that wall, you will run out of jetpack fuel and you'll fall to your death because you're not pushed up against it anymore. And that's a crappy way to die in No Man's Sky. Basically trying to be careful here not to fall down this massive hole, although we do need to go back down to our ship. Slide down here. Now we need to gather copper, and we're going to go over the basics of gathering copper. I was showing you the difference between the mining laser, unknown mineral. Let's scan that real quick. back to our regular mining laser here. Gather some salt real quick. Even though we don't have use for it for crafting or anything at the moment, salt is actually worth some units, so it never hurts to have a little bit of it. Ooh, unidentified plant. Don't want to kill that without scanning it. Scan everything. Unidentified mineral. Okay, so to get these, we would use the mining laser like we were before. And then we're going to switch to our terrain manipulator. And you can change the size of this. If you need to gather a resource like copper, this is what we use this for, you want the smallest orb, and that's pushing the left pad to the left. But if you need to make yourself a hidey hole, like say there's a storm coming and you need to get away from it, you want to use the biggest one. Now we just found bedrock. That's kind of ironic because I really wanted to dig a little bit further in and I had to hit something with bedrock. So let's go over here real quick. First off, we're going to gather our sodium without falling down the hole. Now we're going to blow a hole into the ground. If you find yourself out and about without resources, you can always make yourself a hole in the side of a mountain, walk far enough in, and radiation levels are stabilizing. So we're not getting hurt by the radiation anymore, which is a wonderful thing. You can also use this to hide from sentinels. They won't come down the holes. You have to get a little bit further back away from the edge though, so that they can't see you. Let's go ahead and charge up. Glitchy birds. They look like they have jetpacks on their backs. Alright, now what we're going to do is we're going to size that back down, and we're going to do a little searching. We have a number 2. That is a mutant plant. Ooh, that should be interesting. And there's a copper deposit and another critter. Is this critter friendly? He's ugly. He's nervous. He likes dihydrogen crystals and long walks on the beach. We can go back here to our copper deposit. We're going to highlight that and we're going to go for a little run. Early in the game, you're going to be doing a lot of running. This is a very hilly area. Oh, that is a god-awful huge hole in the ground. Make sure we're not going to fall in the hole. And we want to switch to our mining beam for a moment. Gather some of that. Slowly run and jetpack our way up the hill. Close by to a sentinel. Unidentified mineral. This planet is just riddled with caves. It's kind of interesting, but kind of scary. Now, very rarely do you find life forms down in caves. It is possible, but pretty rare. Gather some of these oxygen-rich plants. And I'm going to show you something interesting real quick. Now, when you scan here, you get these yellows. The yellow ones are the lowest level of threat. The yellow twos. Scan over that one. That is the mutant plant, and I don't see any yellow threes at the moment. There's a plant we haven't scanned. Let's scan that real quick. The yellow threes tend to be things like Gravitino balls. You have to be real careful with the level threes because if you interact with them, a lot of the times they automatically call the sentinels. Gravitino balls in particular, if you pick one up, the sentinels come a running. 3,000 for that critter. And while we're right here, and we have a few more minutes left in this, I'm going to go ahead and cursor over this, and it shows you resource deposit of copper, terrain manipulator required. We have a big old fat goofy jiggly plant. But I did notice something when I was scanning around, and that is this symbol here. It is a buried technology module. I'm going to go ahead and highlight that and then show you two things real quick. I'm going to run over here to the buried technology module real quick. These blue glowing ones are deuterium-rich plants. They are jetpack boosters. So when you have that going, you could just keep going with the jetpack without fuel. And then it'll give you the warning that your jetpack is about to die. Make sure you're someplace safe to land. Okay. Hello, Mr. Sentinel. Now, using the terrain manipulator does not trigger sentinels, even if you damage local flora and fauna. I want to blast out the ground a little bit and show you the technology module. Gives you a salvage technology that is used for blueprints later on. So if you can, gather them every chance you get. And now we're going to go ahead and, nope, we didn't want the salt deposit. We wanted the copper deposit. Let's not fall down that hole. Not get hit by the hostile flora. We're going to come back here to our copper deposit. Now we are on terrain manipulator mode. Let's recharge our hazard suit and might as well do the O2. And while we're here, put some pure ferrite in, 94% charge. Make sure you are on the smallest bubble when you do this. If you do the biggest, it will remove a lot of material, but you don't get as much. So when you mine with this, you want to do the smallest bubble possible and then just wander back and forth with it. Make sure it says resource deposit, copper, or whatever you're trying to get, because if you get into the dirt, it just blows the dirt away. It doesn't give you any resources. It just blows the material out around it. But we need copper. And I know we needed a fair bit of it. We needed 80 for the mission, which we have now achieved. And I'm going to just keep going over this a little bit longer so that we have some backup. We can hold 250 of this per stack. Might as well get a decent amount of it. At the very least, we could always sell it later and get some units. But trust me, we're gonna need it. Weapon charge depleted. Pop in a little bit. I think that's a good point to hold off on that. We have found a new part of the planet. That notification off on the left was. Try not to overheat the laser. And just get back some of our regular things. Now let's go ahead and figure out. There's our starship. We're going to mark that. And I'm going to start heading back that way. That's where we're going to call it an episode. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed episode 3 of my No Man's Sky Beginner's Guide. I'm Big Poppa T-Mo. If you liked what you saw, give me a big thumbs up down on the bottom. And if you'd like to see future updates, go ahead and hit the subscribe. I'll be posting more of these later. Have a good one and fly safe.